Hey y'all, and welcome to Skyrim Scripting. This is a very special episode because I'm here to tell y'all that I am in love with JContainers. So when you write your Papyrus Skyrim scripts, working with data can be a bit of a hassle. We get these integers and floats and bools and strings and forms and stuff, and we get arrays that we can make of them, except they can only be 128 elements long, and it's really hard to add to them, and we don't get some other really useful data structures, which, if you're not used to things like maps, you may not even know that you need, but once you start using them, you will fall in love because it's so easy. JContainers lets you track your data very, very easily, lets you save it in save games. If you want to, you can remove it all from a save game to do really clean installs, and you can even share all of that data easily across all of your scripts and with other mods. And you can even do this cool Lua embedded scripting thing to make your scripts extra fast if you want to do things like sort arrays and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's amazing. So let's hop on in. Let me open up JContainers. Here's the original JContainers for Original Legendary Edition by Silver Iced. Now it has been ported to Special Edition by Rado 3. Thank you, Silver Iced, and thank you, Rado 3. And what you want to do is, first of all, obviously download this. It requires SKSE. It is an SKSE plugin that also adds these Papyrus functions that let us interact with JContainers. You're going to want to find the link to the GitHub here, right here, this port, JC's GitHub. And what you want to do here is you want to go up there. You want to go to the wiki. The wiki. Once you go to the wiki, you're going to find loud motorcycles. That's what you're going to find. You're going to find a bunch of nice documentation and a table of contents that is completely behind me. There it is. You want to go to pages, for example, like the Papyrus API. This gives you a really nice summary of all of the functions that we're going to be working with throughout our episodes. But you can also look at other things like we're going to learn how to write things to file as JSON and read JSON from files. That's going to be awesome. You can learn things like what is the lifetime management of an object, which you don't care about yet, but you will care about it a little bit by the end of this episode, and we'll go over things like that throughout the episode series. So let's use it. What are we going to do? We're going to put stuff into an array. We're going to make an array because JContainers has its own arrays, and you can just lazily add stuff to the array. You could have one array and put forms in it and integers and floats and whatever in the same array if you wanted to for some reason, and you can keep adding to it. You don't have to worry about the length. It's fantastic. And then we'll look at how to get stuff out of it. We're going to look at how to save that array into a save game and kind of hold on to it. And then we're going to look at how to retrieve that data from a save, and I think we'll say remove array from save game because it's easy and I want to show you how to do it. So let's make a mod. What are we going to do? It's going to be a really simple mod. We got to keep track of stuff in an array. So let's say that every time we I don't know, we punch someone, or every time someone hits us, we're going to track those actors in an array. So I don't know what to call it. Do you have an idea? Because I don't. Let's call it. I've made this for a couple other episodes, and I just call it Punch Out. Whatever. Is that what we want to do? We could store a list of all the items you pick up. But I feel like this is more fun. This is more fun, and it involves punching other players, other characters. You know, I'm not promoting violence, but I mean, it's a video game. It's a violent video game where you hit people with swords and stuff. So go ahead and open up Creation Kit however you like to open it up. I'm using Mod Organizer 2, but you do you. And I'm going to save Punch Out. And what do we want? Well, we're going to want to keep track of when the player gets hit. So we need a player script to track that. So let's just make a quest with a quest alias player script like we have done so many times before. So we're going to make a punch out quest, and then as always we're just going to hit OK to close it, reopen it before we do anything with the quest. Go to quest aliases, new reference, player ref fill type specific reference, select forced reference, cell any. We've done this so many times. It populates player. We go over here, we make a new script, we say add. It's going to ask us, we want new script. I'm doing this by looking at myself. It's really fun. We're going to call this punch out player script, and then it'll extend a reference alias like we've done so many times before, so many times. And then we're going to save, and as always, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to say right click right here, edit source. So right click on that, edit source, and you can write all your code in this little box. Now that little box doesn't work very well for screencasting, so I'm going to open up this same script in Visual Studio Code. Before I do that, let me go small so I don't get in the way. So boo, I'm down here now. All right, let me open up Visual Studio Code. And I'm in the script. There's the script. It's got more colors and stuff, and it's bigger. It's got the bigger text. Hooray. So what are we going to put in this? We need to track when the player gets hit. So let's go find the event for that in creationkit.com. Really loud birds. We can go to the scripting reference, and then we want to scroll down. We want to scroll down to events under subcategories right there. And then we can just search this page for something like hit, and we'll find way over there the on hit, and then here is the reference for it. Let me zoom in for you. Now there are a million parameters for this thing, because you can see whether or not it was a sneak attack or a bash attack or whatever attack. We're just going to copy this, and we're going to ignore almost all of the parameters except for this one. Maybe just this one. We could do this one. We'll do that next episode. We'll do this one. We just care about who or what hit you. So everything else we don't care about. So let's pull that into our player script. Boop. And event. And it goes on to a second line. You can use slashes if you didn't know in Papyrus to do that. I'm just going to pull it back up onto the main line so it's out of the way for us. And so what we care about is the aggressor, which we're going to get as an actor. So let's make an array. Let's make a JArray, which is what we do. So whenever we get hit, we want an array. The way that we would normally do that with Papyrus is like so. We would say form array aggressors or attackers. How about that? Form array attackers. And then when we get hit, we would have to set up attackers for the first time. We'd have to say like attackers equals new form array of like 128 attackers, if that's the max. And then we set things on attackers by doing attackers like .0 equals the aggressor and things like that. And we can make this an actor array if we want to. Let's ignore that for now. So what if Papyrus made this a little bit easier for us? What if instead of having to do like attackers 0 equals, attackers 1 equals, attackers 2 equals, what if Papyrus let us just simply say attackers add, I gotta wait for these birds to shut up. So what if Papyrus just let us do this, and we could say aggressor, and then you could add as many as you want, and you could just say add really lazily. You don't have to worry about the size of things at all. It'd be wonderful. But you know, what if Papyrus gave us a slightly different interface? Instead of being able to say form.add, give us like this little helper for arrays where you could add something to an array like so. You could say array.add, and you notice that it's array. It's not attackers add, it's array. So if we want to add something to it like the aggressor, we'd have to specify which array we're adding to. So the interface would be something like this. We could say add to the attacker's array this aggressor. And it's still wonderful. It's still better than what we had before with the adding 0 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, because it allows us to just arbitrarily add. It just has this slightly interesting weird interface where you have to specify the array that you're adding to. Now, if you can't already guess, this is the JContainers interface. You say JArray add, but instead of just add, you say add. Let me get my auto-completion working. Cool, so you say JArray.add. Yeah, that stupid thing gets in the way. There we go. You can add a float to this array, you can add a form to it, you can add an integer, a string, or another object. An object could be another array or a map, which is something that we'll learn about next time. So we want to add a form, and we want to add the aggressor. So that's a form. Now this takes an interesting set of arguments. Instead of taking an array, like a form array, it takes an integer. So what if attackers were saved in the system as just a number, and the number is a reference to the array? So what we do is we say attackers equals, and we do basically like JArray new. We make a new one, and we say that attackers is just like this reference number to the array that's stored in JContainers, like in the background in the wonderful, wonderful system. And then for our actual code, we do this, and that's how we do it. A bunch of birds came by and they just wouldn't leave. So the only thing that's not 100% correct about this is it's not actually JArray.new. When you want a new JArray, you say JArray.object, whatever. There are a couple of neat ways to set up a JArray. If you already have a papyrus array of forms or booleans or floats or ints or something, you can go ahead and say, like, you can make this JArray and pass it a existing array if you have one. But generally, we just want to make our own array, just like this. So this should kind of work. If we go in and we get hit, we should make attackers a new array, except we don't want to do that every time. We just want to do that when the mod is loaded for the first time. So we'll say on init. Otherwise, we're just going to keep creating a new array and adding stuff to it, which won't do anything. So we'll move this up here. And now we should be good, right? We should totally be good. We say we have attackers, which is an array. Even though it says integer, it's an array. That's just a reference to it. We create it as a JArray object. That's what makes the reference to it. Makes an array in the background. And then whenever we get hit, we add the aggressor to this array. And then let's just print them out. We'll say debug.messagebox attackers so far, thus far. And then we'll print out the well, what'll happen if we just say attackers? If we just say attackers, it's just going to print out like attackers thus far 7 or 1 or 100,042, whatever the current number that we get from JContainers is. So we need to get attackers as a form array. So we can use JArray for that as well. We can say JArray as integer, as int array, as form array, as float array, as string array. This one's kind of cool. You can get a subarray of it. So we want to do JArray as form array, and then our attackers. So we can go into game. We could totally go into game and get hit and see if that works. I'll tell you that what it's going to print out is attackers thus far, empty brackets. What happens is the way that JContainers makes its objects, its arrays and its maps and its whatever, they're all meant for temporary use. They're meant for using in a function. They're not meant for that for all cases. Just by default, if you say like int my array equals JArray.object, because remember it's just represented as an integer, and then you do a bunch of code, you JArray.add to it, my array, some stuff. You're meant to do stuff with it. And then if you haven't used your array, if there's no active reference to it, then within 10 seconds, poof, the array goes away. That's so a bunch of extra stuff doesn't end up in your save game, and it's actually a really nice feature of JContainers once you just learn about it. If you don't know about it, then it's going to drive you crazy. All you need to know is you're responsible for telling JContainers, hey, please don't clean up this object, it's mine. Like, please hold on to it. And then if you want to later, you can release it and get rid of it. So we say JArray attackers equals a new JArray, and then we just have to tell JContainers not to get rid of it. And we say JValue dot retain, and then we give it whatever the object is, an array, a map. All of those things get int identifiers, and you say attackers. Now there's this extra string tag. This is really cool and useful if you want to, whenever you retain stuff, it'll end up in your save game. You can tag all of the things that you retain with like the name of your mod or something, and so your mod will add these bajillions and bajillions or dozens of things to JContainers, and you'll retain them because you don't want them to disappear. And if you want to, when the mod gets uninstalled, you can actually get rid of every single object that has a certain tag. So what you can do is say tag equals my mod, and then later when you want to, what is it? I haven't done it in a while. Release objects with tag, and then you just give it a tag like my mod. So when you do an uninstallation, you can get rid of, poof, everything from your save game that your mod used. Everything. It's great. The only thing that your save game will end up with is this active script with one integer for attackers. So you'll get all of these integers, which are the references to your objects in the save games, whatever you put on the script, but you won't get anything. So let's try this out. And we don't need the tag for right now. So we're just going to retain this, and we're going to add actors to an array whenever we get hit. And don't forget, this requires SKSE, so make sure that you have JContainers enabled and SKSE. Oh, and your mod. Got my little starting Khajiit here. Should I hit the chicken? I'm not going to hit the chicken. Dragon! I saw a dragon!
You're as good as dead.
Cool, we got hit by this actor.
We are routed! Fall back!
Sorry, stun. I just killed stun. I didn't mean to kill anyone. There's another actor. It's called carry actor script because it's just a kind of a subclass of actor. So we keep getting these folks who hit us. They're not entirely unique because no matter what, we're continuing to add to it. We don't do anything to only add unique ones. Now, unlike the built-in Papyrus array, unless you're using Papyrus 1.6, so congratulations Fallout 4 folks, is these arrays allow you to search for objects inside of them. So if we really wanted to, we could update this really quickly to just to say, you know, if the JArray find form in this array aggressor, come on, AK aggressor, is greater than -1. That's how finds usually work. So how about if you can't find it in the array, attackers. If you can't find it in the array, then we'll add them. So you can do stuff like that. It's really, really powerful. Now I just want to show you where these are in the save games, just out of your curiosity, and then we're done. We'll bail, and you can head on over to the next episode for maps. Now I'm just going to throw a string in here whenever the mod gets instantiated. So I'm just going to say like JArray add string, just add stir to the attackers array. It's just going to say hello, this data is in the save game. Save, it's attackers, save, build. I'm going to run that. And the game loaded, so I'm just going to save. I'm just going to do a quick save here. New save. And then if I head on over to my save games and documents, my games, Skyrim Special Edition, and I look at the most recent save, If I try and open up the Elder Scrolls save file in like Resaver, you're not going to find the data in here. It's in the SKSE file. So if I open that up in an editor, it's a binary file, but I should be able to search for hello. Come on, it's right here. Just want to scroll. Hello, this data is in the save game, and if at any point you want to get rid of it, all you can do is you can get rid of this entire array. So now this array is in the save game, right? But we can say J-value release attackers, and we could do this like on load. So I undid that. We still have our on init, which does the same thing when you install a mod, but then whenever you load the game, we're just going to release this so that we can go and load the game right now and just see that that data will go away, which is a great feature of JContainers for those who care about those little kind of minutia, that word. I loaded the save game, so that means that release has run. Now again, that'll happen within like 5-10 seconds. We know that within 10 seconds it should go away. So if I do another save game right now, this is the same game on top of the previous one where hello was in there. If I check out that save game now, and I'm going to open up the SKSE file, and I'm going to view it even though it's binary, sure, and if I look for hello, it's no longer in there. So it's a really cool way to get rid of stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. Hang out for maps, because the maps are where things really, really get exciting. And then after that, we're going to look at how to share this data between all of your scripts. You can have multiple scripts that all can very easily get to all of your arrays and your maps, which we'll look at, and grab data from them easily from all over your mod without having to do all these things where you tie things together with the creation kit and grab these papyrus arrays. It's so powerful, and it's so easy once you get up and running with it. It's so easy. So hang out, head on over to that maps episode, which I'm going to record as soon as I finish drinking this cup of tea, and it's going to be amazing. Thank you for hanging out, and as always, happy modding, everyone. Happy modding.